So at the end of the day, really, it's going to be very difficult to tell until we see the results.
A lot of people will say that the campaign ought to have finished before the presidential election. Yes. So you find that a lot of voters already knew who they were going to vote for the presidential and also for the governorship elections, which might not necessarily be the two.
No, because there are
the same party.
Yes, but you see, there are one or two factors. Like they say, a day in politics is a long time. There are one or two factors that may have taken place that would now alter what people may have, people's preconceived ideas on who they were going to vote for. For instance, in Lagos, there were certain comments that were made by certain people that would possibly realign the thoughts of certain individuals and even tribes as to who they're going to vote for. So politics is a dynamic thing. It keeps changing. So what we're going to have is a hotly contested gubernatorial election in many states.
Mr. Nadi, if we can just bring you in here, the voting patterns, the voting lines. Now, in the presidential, it looked as if it was along tribal and religious lines. Would you think that would work?
I think the campaigns during the presidential were run effectively on those fault lines, effectively canvassed on those fault lines. And many voters also perceived very clearly that divide. But in the governorship elections, it may not be so. There will be a multivariate factors, so to speak, that will determine, and none of them can anybody effectively assign any weight.
Okay, Mr. Nadi, just hold your thoughts. Let me bring in Ambassador Adigun. Ambassador Adigun, the fault lines, as Mr. Nadi has called them, tribal and religious lines that a lot of people voted along in the presidential elections, do you think they are likely to show up in these governorship elections?
Well, the governorship election is essentially a state affair. But I can see that from the result of the presidential election I saw, I can tell you that I was a little bit disturbed. The first thing I saw is a serious polarization of Nigeria into ethnic, religious, and sectional that played out in the outcome of the presidential election. And when you look at religion and politics in Nigeria, religion is the soul of our spirit. We cannot wish it away. But Nigeria is supposed to be a secular state. But you cannot say because you are a Christian or you are a Muslim or unbeliever, you won't be involved in politics. Because politics affects our life. In this gubernatorial race, what I will see essentially in some cases, there will be the bandwagon effect of the presidential election. It is likely that APC, on the basis of this, will take a lot of states. But it will be a very keen competition. Be that as it may, I see also that a lot of cross-carpeting we have witnessed in recent days itself will play a factor. I've read with consternation some politicians decamping to a party simply because the party is now going to be at the center. What does this show me? It shows me that a lot of Nigerian politicians are not ideologically defined. They don't have a defined ideological posture. Some of them can be classified as what we say AGIP, a euphemism for any government in power. And I like certain things that came out. Senate President Adigun said he is going to stay in PDP no matter the situation, that most of the people he has seen who are now decamping are fair weather politicians. But with this election, we are going to erase that people think they can take Nigerian electorates for granted because of their self-seeking ambition. They will be surprised that Nigerians now are more alert than ever before. They are going to vote for people who have the fear of God, who wants to develop the people who are not self-seekers, who also have credibility, and they want to serve the people.
Well, anyway, I think...
these are the things I intend to see.
We'll take a moment off you. We'll come back to you pretty much later. And very soon we'll be speaking also, because now you've just painted a picture of where we're headed. And I will also be speaking with John Cardinal Onoyekon, who is a member of the National Peace Committee, to tell us more on how they were able to achieve this peace that we are experiencing at the moment. Many thanks to you, Ambassador Adigun. We'll come back to you, as I did say, so we're not done with you yet. It's a long process. But gentlemen, looking at what this is about, you just realized that for Ambassador Adigun, he's just hit the nail on the head, telling everyone that, look, for a moment, people thought it was going to be a straight, forward kind of election. But the results we gathered from the last election showed that people were voting along ethnic and religious lines, and this is not too good for us as a people and as a nation, a united Nigeria. So for you, what's your thought on that? Looking at the results and looking at the geopolitical zones, how people voted in the last election, what would you say was the underlying feature in that particular voting pattern?
Those elections, the presidential election and the National Assembly election, by the way, the campaigns effectively canvassed ethnic and religious differences. And these politicians were the ones that were adept at dividing the electorate, the voters, on those fault lines, the primordial fault lines, as it were. And this is just simply the case of selfish political interest. When you don't have anything to bring to table, you go to primordial, prejudices and things like that. How would it bother me, as I am on this set now, that you are from so and so place, or you are the son or daughter of... I'm interested in what you are able to put out. Anybody watching this program, as you are so watched all over, and the credit also goes to John Momo. I must say that. I did say that before him when we met the other day. It takes a good head to look for another good head without thinking, okay, a good head will look for those who are better than his. I don't know that again. So when people are watching you, they're careless where you come from or what religion you profess. Because what you guys have demonstrated is capacity, that the young ones in this country must be trusted with responsibilities. You have delivered. If you didn't know, I'm telling you. I'm talking to you, gentlemen,
we must
the
say
anchors.
thank you.
So, yes.
We must say thank you for that.
That must be stated, because if it was otherwise, I must be compelled to say so. Having said that, the foundation I laid by doing this is that if a politician has something to bring to table, he will canvass the issues. It does not matter to Iyasikiri who is selling akara, who buys her akara. She's interested in the income that comes from what she does for a living. It is these politicians, many of them, who have no other profession than the do or die instinct in them, that they must always be carried on that will always carry them on our back. Where they fritter away our tax monies and revenue.
Well,
the point,
Dr. Nadia, I'm afraid we'll leave it there. We'll
yes.
come back. We'll be going over to speak with the Archbishop of Abuja Diocese. So let's just go on a short break now. We'll return shortly.
Very well.
Past colleagues' participation in that election was hailed by Nigerians, the international community, and election observers as a major contributing factor to its success and or successful conduct. The unfortunate violence that followed the presidential election of 2011 has not deterred you from rendering your services to our dear nation. This, indeed, is a show of the zeal and unconquerable spirit of the Nigerian youth. while praying for the success of